All right, yes, I am retiring from the NRL. If you've read the title of this podcast, it is correct. I've made the decision to retire from the NRL at the end of the season. And on today's podcast, we are going to talk about that decision. We're going to talk about my career. We're going to go over a whole heap of stuff. Now, on my podcast, I don't generally talk about myself or my own career too much. But today we're going to go into a bit more detail about the decision, some highlights, some lowlights, everything. Basically going to cover it all off in today's podcast. And as always, we have Victor along to help. Victor, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
How
are you
great.
feeling about this?
I'm great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I am excited about talking about today. Like I said, I don't really talk about myself too much, all my own career and things that I've, done over the course of the last 15 years. But I'm excited to talk about it all today.
Well,
so
let's get straight into it.
Let's get into it.
The decision to retire. Why now?
Yeah, so I guess why now? Well, I just feel like now is the time. It's the right time for me to step away. I feel like, I always got told from an ex-teammate of mine, when you know. And I almost retired at the end of last season, to be honest. I had a good look at it and I thought that, it could be it for me. Obviously there's some things outside of football that are sort of pulling me towards that, I feel, sort of my attention and focus. But I guess physically, like I still feel great. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the reason as to why I still wanted to play on this season. I still had that drive and mentality to play. But then obviously as the season goes on, you know what I mean, and things sort of happen, it's clear to me that, the time is now. And look, I'm very, very happy that I've made the decision. I know there's still a little bit to go in the season. So obviously got to finish off the season first. But yeah, when you know. And I know that the time is now, and I'm just very happy that I've made the decision. I feel like, I can just put it out there and now speak about it. A lot of friends and family have been asking me about this question, for a long time. Naturally, obviously, signing a one-year deal at 34 years old, I'm nearly 35. What am I up to next year? And it's like, well, I am looking at options at the moment, but I didn't want to rush into a decision too early. I wanted to make sure I sort of, again, sort of went through all of the options and ultimately all roads led to, hanging up the boots.
Like, you obviously said you've been thinking about this for a while. How long has it been, and has it weighed on you for a while?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had a good look at it last season. Last season when I was at the Cowboys and I was off contract, I had a few teams I was negotiating with overseas, and I had a few very small chats to teams in Australia, not much, but then, late in sort of my negotiation process last season, I sort of got an approach by the Roosters to say, we need someone like you to just come in and we look after just a one-year deal, which is what I was after, you know what I mean? It was either I wasn't keen to go to England last year from where I was in Townsville. I didn't want to take my family there. I was more so I would come back to Sydney. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to come back to Sydney. So if I didn't get the Roosters offer this year, potentially I would have finished last year. But obviously very grateful that I got that opportunity to come down to Sydney and be inside the inner four walls with the Roosters, which I've absolutely loved. You know what I mean? I've been so grateful to experience that this season. But ultimately, I almost made the call last year, made the decision that, I still feel like I can go one more year, and then wanted to play on this year. Now I just feel like, you know what I mean? It's been something I've thought about for a while. You know what I mean? I feel like I've thought about my post-football career for a long time, and, it does come at you very quick. It comes at you quick, you know what I mean? Although I've played for a long time. I played in the NRL for 15 years. It's just, I'm like, where'd that time go? You know what I mean? Where'd all that time go? You know what I mean? When you're in the thick of it, it's like it's going so slow. But as you get towards the end, it's like, wow, man, like that time, it's been literally the time of my life. And, ultimately, I guess that all, comes at you quickly, and that's what led to the decision.
I guess for any future players or young kids out there, is there any advice you would give to them to have that kind of thought about post career? Because you do retire in like subjectively an early age in your life, right? 34 is a very young age to retire. Is there any advice you could give to those kids?
Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like, you know, I'm old in NRL terms or our professional sport, in our professional NRL player terms. I'm old, and I mean, people have been telling me to retire, and I'm old since I turned 30. So it's been 5 years of that. But yeah, I think my advice would be to younger players is that you need to have something outside of football that balances your life. And I learnt that balance as I got older. I was just all in 100% football at a young age, you know, early 20s, which is what you need to do. You know, as you get towards, I guess, your later 20s, you know, closer to 30, you need to kind of gravitate, and naturally you do. You gravitate, to something that you enjoy doing. You know what I mean? And if you can turn that something that you enjoy doing into potentially something that you can turn into a job, like you're on a path to success, I feel, in that regard. So my advice to players would be early on in your career, like you need to commit everything. You need to sacrifice everything to sort of get your career going. And then as you sort of cement yourself, or you, I guess, cement yourself in your career where your career is ticking along and going well enough. You know what I mean? You've cemented a starting position at a team. You've got a good contract somewhere you feel comfortable, you know, with who you are as a person. Obviously, not comfortable with who you are as a player. You're always trying to push to be a player, but comfortable with who you are as a person, that you can, you know, really just, you know, start a degree in uni or go and do a TAFE course, or, you know, pick up a camera and start filming yourself, or whatever it may be. Like, that'd be something that I would push into plays, because then ultimately, you know, your day off, there's time where, believe it or not, we've spoken about before, 24/7, there's players don't think about football 24/7. Like, there are times where you have a downtime away from football, and you need to just put something else into your mind to just sort of distract you and balance your life out. So that'd be my advice.
So I guess looking back on your debut career when you were 15 years ago or something, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
How was your debut?
So, my debut was 2011. We played the Brisbane Broncos at Shark Park. Darren Lockyer was playing. So the GOAT, the proper GOAT. I remember we played a Friday night, and Shane Flanagan was the coach. He gave me my debut, and he told me on the Wednesday night, and I couldn't sleep. Wednesday at training, sorry. I couldn't sleep Wednesday. I couldn't sleep Thursday. And then Friday, like, I was just a mess all day. Like, I was so bloody nervous. I remember it. And then we lost the game, but I felt like I played okay for my debut. I had one try assist. I don't know. That's because I remember it was off a kick. That's kind of the only thing I remember from the game. And I remember tackling Corey Parker, and he sprayed me one time, and I was just like, wow, like, you know what I mean? I'm getting sprayed by like veteran NRL players. But yeah, anyway, he shook Darren Lockyer's hand after the game, and I was just like this, like just shaking his hand, like just staring at him like that. And I mean, back then it's like, it wasn't normal to like get photos and videos like it is now. Like, you know, I would have loved to get a photo with Darren Lockyer. Like, it'd be so bloody cool to have got that and to have that memory. But yeah, it wasn't to be. And obviously, you know, we lost that night. But yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. Like, it was a dream come true for me. And to be a local junior here in the Cronulla Southern competition, local Sharks junior, I grew up in the Shire. I watched the Sharks play on the family hill. I could literally tell you so many Sharks players. Like, I feel like I know them all. And yeah, ultimately that was, you know, one of the highlights of my life and of my career for sure.
On the topic of Flano, who has been the most influential coach for you in your career?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to be coached by a lot of good coaches. I guess, I played 9 years at Cronulla, so I think 7 of those 9 years was Shane Flanagan. I think 2 was John Morris before I left there at the Sharks. Obviously, I've had, Todd Payton, now Trent Robinson this year. I mentioned John Morris, Shane Flanagan, Andrew McFadden as well. Look, I feel like I've had good relationships with all of my coaches, you know what I mean? Early on in my career, you know, and we'll touch on it a little bit later in the podcast as to the reason why I left Cronulla when I was a bit younger. I felt like Flano wasn't giving me the go that I wanted. So I did decide to move. But then when I came back, like our relationship just, it grew and grew. And yeah, Flano was very different to other coaches I had. Feel like he was a great motivator for our playing group, very direct, and knew how to bring a team together. John Morris was very detailed in his approach. Now he's assistant coach with Benji at the Tigers. Andrew McFadden, who's now doing the recruitment at the Warriors, doing a great job. He helped me a lot when I was younger in my career. And Todd Payton, I felt like, he gave me the job of, co-captain of the Cowboys, which I'm very grateful for. And our relationship, when we had all the success up there was incredible. You know what I mean? He was very, very open to the playing group and the players' ideas, being a former player himself. I feel like, and not only those head coaches, you know what I mean? There's been a lot of assistant coaches who I've also feel like I've had great relationships with. Off the top of my head, it's hard to bring them all up, but, Daniel Holsworth was one. Steve Price is another. Who else is there? There's Andrew Webster, who's now coach of the Warriors. He was assistant coach at the Warriors 10 years ago when I played there. He used to invite me over to his house for dinner. You know what I mean? So that was pretty cool. Just built some great relationships with coaches. And obviously, you know what I mean? It's a relationship where it's not always, I wouldn't say it's always rosy. You know what I mean? It's always great. But ultimately, there's always respect in that relationship. And I've really enjoyed that part of the game.
Yeah, man. What part of the weekly grind of being an NRL player are you going to miss the most? But also, like, what parts are you going to not miss at all?
What will I miss the most, man? I feel like the biggest thing, there's no doubt, the biggest thing I'll miss the most is just time with my teammates. I feel like, time in and around the sheds and, whether you're going for lunch or coffee or you've got a day off and you're playing golf together or you're going for lunch or whatever it is, like that's the banter and stuff that happens in and around that, like is awesome. It's like you're at school, you know what I mean? Hanging with your mates and you're in the schoolyard and whatever, it's lunchtime and there's banter and there's fun and games and pranks and people doing things to others. And I think that's the stuff I'll miss the most. And obviously winning football games with your mates is like the best feeling in the world. Like when you put so much time and effort and sacrifice and preparation into trying to win a football game, and winning in the NRL is like unbelievably hard. Like it is very hard. There's a lot of good players. There's a lot of good teams, good coaches. So, that's always been a moment I've really enjoyed and I'll miss, when you're in the sheds after a game, that euphoric feeling and, where it's so much satisfaction and joy and there's smiles everywhere and, some players are having beers and just laughing and banter and there's music and, it's a really cool feeling and you can't, I feel like that's going to be a challenge for me to replicate that win, in my post-football life. Like how do I chase that winning feeling? And I've heard Dan Carter speak about it. He's trying to, the ex-All Black, he's trying to find ways where he can win in life, and that's something that I've really, behind closed doors, have tried to think about and put some time and effort into with my post-career, opportunities. Is like, how do I find wins in normal life, to get that euphoric feeling, or it's like you put time and effort into that, and it's like, yeah, like we won there. So, yeah, I'll miss that. What I won't miss, gosh. I won't miss preseason. I'll tell you that much. I just got through last preseason, to be honest. There was days where I was like, I'm about to quit. I just don't know if I can get through this every day. I'm just like, man, what am I doing? I don't know if I can actually get through this. The training nowadays, the demands of the NRL players are higher than they've ever been. Look, I won't miss tackling big freaking back rowers who are, 30 kilos heavier than I am. That's incredibly, difficult at times. I won't miss contact sessions. I won't miss tackling during the week at training. That's not as fun when you're a half, and you're getting a bit older. But what else will I won't miss? I won't miss like review sessions after a loss.
The sprays.
Yeah, I mean the sprays are like not a few and far between these days. They're not what they used to be. The sprays, I guess, there's a lot of probably sensitive people out there these days. But yeah, the review session after a loss for every player is hard. You know what I mean? You're showing up, where you might have not done your best effort or you've let it try and it's like, it's always a tough moment where it takes a day or two to get over. So I won't miss that. But yeah, they're probably the couple of main things that I think I won't miss.
You talked about how the game has changed a bit, like in terms of pace and the demands, but how have you seen the actual NRL change? The way it's officiated.
Big time.
Do you think it's been changed for better or worse since the start of your career to now? Yeah,
look, I mean, the first 10 years of my career, there was no 6 again. There was, a lot of different changes, you know what I mean? Obviously the interchange as well. I mean, the short dropout rule, which I absolutely hate, has changed. And look, I spent like my whole life trying to perfect a short kicking game where you can build pressure, get a repeat set, force your opposition to do a dropout. And when they changed the rule to that short dropout rule where there's no penalty or whatever it is, if it doesn't go 10, it just basically has slapped all playmakers in their short kicking game in the face to be like, hey, your short kicking game doesn't actually matter. You know what I mean? If a team just puts it up short and can get it back. So I'd like to see that changed. I just feel like the art of the short kicking game is so hard to build. I spent my whole life trying to get that repertoire, trying to get that in my repertoire. So, but yeah, I feel like the game, it's definitely gotten faster. I mean, like I said, the 6 again, the interchange, it's more physical. There's more meters per minute. There's more attack these days, like defense. There's bigger score lines as well. So obviously there's more ball in play as well. So yeah, there's a lot of changes, and obviously all these changes where the game's kind of speeding up has occurred as I'm getting older and I'm getting more Ks into my legs. So, you know what I mean? You obviously feel a little bit older when, all these changes are kind of happening. I guess, I'm competing against a guy who's 15, 16 years younger than I am. I've got 15 years of Ks in my legs. So, it is, I mean, it's a challenge as you get older and you find ways to kind of, I guess, get around that with regards to how I play. Like I said at the start of the show, physically, I feel great. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, there's obviously been a lot of changes in the game, and there are some that I don't like.
Yeah,
if I'm honest with you. But ultimately, I think the product of the game is in a great spot. The revenue is building, the salary cap's growing year on year, players are getting paid more, which I love to see. So that the NRL and the players are also doing some wonderful things in that regard.
Nice. Is there any unfinished business or goals that you have that you want to achieve or you would have liked to achieve before stepping away?
No. None at all. I look back at my career and, I know that people will ask me oh, do you have any regrets on your career and whatever? And look, I don't. I wouldn't change anything. Everything that I've been through, everything that's happened to me, I feel has happened for a reason, and it's shaped me into the person that I am today. The wins, the losses, the setbacks, the highs, the lows. You can't enjoy the highs if you don't have the lows. The lows are what make you as a player and as a person. And when you go through a low, whether it's form, suspension or whatever it is, and you're searching and you're trying to find something, and, people in the media are kicking you while you're down, and you're just in that rut. It's the only thing you can do is just work hard. Mentally you need to be strong. And I feel mentally I feel like I'm very strong mentally, and I feel like that's what's helped me get to 15 years in my career. But I feel like those tough times when you're really challenged, it really just shows who you are. And if you can bounce back from those moments, you're in for a long career. Like, it's professional sport. Like, we're in the business of winning games, but stuff doesn't always go your way. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're the number one player in the competition or you're the last player in the competition. Like, you will go through the same thing. You will have wins and losses, and you will have setbacks. So I'm grateful for the losses. I'm grateful for the lessons. I'm grateful for the setbacks, the down times, because where I stand right now, like, I'm very happy. I'm very grateful for my experience, and you know what I mean? I wouldn't be the person I am or the player I was without that experience.
Is there any advice you can give to future players or about the mental resilience, I guess, you need to have to get through those bad times in your career?
That is an awesome question. And is this something I speak to some of our younger guys at the Roosters quite often? Because there's a few guys in our squad who haven't played NRL yet, who are just riding the roller coaster of, trying to make it to the NRL. And there's things that go their way and things that don't. But ultimately, their, I guess, professional career hasn't even started yet. And my message to them is, like, there will be losses, there will be failure, there will be heartbreak, there will be setback. Like, you will feel times where you will lose the game for the team. Like, you won't play well. But how you kind of bounce back from that at those moments will shape you into who you are. And at the time, you won't know it, because at the time, it is the worst feeling in the world. When you're going through it, it is like you are just devastated. Like, I don't want to use the word depressed because that's a pretty heavy word, but like, it's hard. It's hard. At the time, it is unbelievably hard. But mentally, like, you need to show that resilience. The resilience is the biggest thing you need in professional sport. If you don't have resilience, if you can't bounce back, then maybe professional sport just isn't for you. And if you want to have a long career, 10 years plus, you need to be resilient. And you need to be speaking to yourself when the little voice in your head says, I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? You need to be the one inside your head to say, I can do this. I will prove people wrong. I will bounce back. I will put in the work. And, ultimately, I stand here now, and that's one of the things I'm very proud of, to be honest. Like, I faced my fair share. I bounced back a number of times. And a lot of players do. If you have a long career, you show a stack of resilience. And that's, one thing that I think maybe fans and people outside the inner sanctum of players don't understand is, I guess, the toll that the grind of the NRL can take on players.
For sure. Nice. What do you think the game has given you that you'll carry on for the rest of your
life? Friendships, mateships, experiences. I think ultimately it is the people you meet along the way and the relationships you make. Like, I grew up in a small suburb in Yarwara in the Sutherland Shire. I started playing football when I was 5 years old, so 30 years ago. And I'm lucky enough to say that those boys, those mates I play with at 5 years old are still my best mates today. One of the guys one of my best mates was the best man at my wedding. I played in the under sixes with 30 years ago. There's a couple others as well I went to school with, you know what I mean, who are my best mates today. And that's all through the game of football. We play football together on the weekends, at school, and then as you get to the NRL, like, some of the boys I've met, the relationships I've made in the game with the players, will sit with me for the rest of my life. And, there's a couple of boys who I speak to on our chats every day still from other teams. You know what I mean? So ultimately, the relationships, the experiences, and, when I finish up at the end of the season, like, I'll be their biggest fans. Like, I'll be, hoping success for them and watching them closely. And I think that's it for sure.
What do you think is next, I guess, for you? Are you drawn to, like, coaching, media, or any business, or are you going to take a little downtime?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is something, post-career, it's something I've put a lot of thought into. and I still am. I guess I am working behind the scenes on this as we kind of speak, and I have for a long time about what my post-career looks like. And there are a lot of things that interest me, you know what I mean? Obviously the media, TV, radio, podcasts, that's why we're doing it now. Coaching as well, mentoring younger players. I feel like I've got a lot to offer in that regard, just with regards to helping some of those younger guys, I guess, build into their careers. But yeah, I don't have, a definitive answer right now about, hey, this is exactly what I'm doing. I am working on it in the background, and I will have an update for you guys, when the time has come. We're working with a few people at the moment and sort of negotiating and looking around, and all positive, all great. But yeah, I don't have a definitive answer right now. What I am doing at the end of the season is I'm taking my family to Fiji for a couple of weeks, and I am just kicking back. And it's probably the first time ever where I will properly just chill. I'll be chill dogging.
Chill dogging. Oh, what's gonna be the first drink you buy at the bar?
Oh, margarita. Margarita. Maybe pina colada, actually. Fiji bitter, Fiji gold. I'm going to Fiji, so yeah, but I'll be chilling. I'll be chill dogging. Probably upload a stack of content because but
it never stops for you.
Actually, I probably won't. I'll probably just get off I'll probably just decompress and go off grid. But it'd probably be the first. It is going to be the first proper time where I'm on a holiday where I'm like, I don't actually have preseason in the back of my mind, where I actually have to get ready for preseason in a couple of weeks or whenever it is. So, I mean, look, post-career, there's no doubt I'm still going to train. Like, I love training. Training's going to be a big part for me post-career. But, yeah, I mean, I'm one of those guys. I feel like I like to, earn, if I want to eat some bad food or drink some beers or whatever it is, I want to get up and train. So, you've earned those beers.
You're still going to be in the gym.
100%. I'll still be in the gym.
4 days a week.
I'll still be in the gym. Yeah, I'm going to find a bit of a routine. I'm going to do some running as well. Mizuno running. I'm going to do some running. One of my good mates runs marathons. And I know it's a very trending thing at the moment for everyone to run clubs and all this stuff and marathons. But, I mean, physically, I feel like I will need to have a bit of a rest. And then I kind of want to go through a phase of getting my body back to normality. And thankfully, my body is actually great. I feel like I've held up really good. I've got some pretty sore shoulders, or pretty, my range of motion's not great. I'm still strong in the shoulders. And my knees are actually pretty fine. I've got a stuffed up finger that's just bent, which I want to get fixed. But that's kind of it, to be honest. So I do, yeah, like I said, I'll have an update for you guys exactly, once I sort of know a bit more information about what exactly my post-career looks like with regards to employment. But I will still be, I plan on training a lot. I plan on running a lot. I still plan on lifting weights, you know what I mean? I just want to find peace. And I feel like physically being fit and active is going to, help me find that moment or that feeling where, and that balance of, because obviously being a professional athlete, you actually train as a living. I train multiple times a day, multiple times a week. So, when you're not getting paid to train, you obviously need to then put that into somewhere else in your life and schedule. So, yeah, I look forward to that, finding that. But also what I've heard is your life gets much busier after footy. You know what I mean? Obviously with training, with work, with family. And look, like I said, I look forward to finding that balance and finding that peace, when that comes.
And what do you think has been that biggest sacrifice that you've made, or the key moments of life that you've missed out throughout the course of your career because you have been, training or whatever?
Yeah, there's been a lot over the 15 years. I've missed birthdays. I've missed weddings. I've missed funerals. I've missed bucks parties. I've missed a lot. purely from the fact that as a player, as players, we don't live like a normal life to what I guess is considered normal. You know what I mean? Like, I could not tell you when the public holidays are, because public holidays just don't really, we don't get them. And I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying that it's like, there's certain lifestyle you have to live as a player to be successful or have longevity in the game. And putting your training first, especially in the off season or over Christmas, you know what I mean? Like, there's times where I remember when I was younger, before I had kids, like, I used to train on every Christmas day. That was like my thing. I wanted to train on Christmas Day because I knew that there was other guys who weren't training on Christmas Day. That was like my mindset as a kid. And when I wanted to really like push and make it, that was one thing I did. So, as you get older and as you have kids, it's like, I can't be out of the house on Christmas Day. Like, it's just not possible. But yeah, there's been a lot of sacrifices. I think missing one of my good mates' weddings was really tough, obviously due to playing. But yeah, I mean, they're the things that you have to do. And you know what I mean? Would I do them again? I would. And yeah, it's tough, but it's part of the business. It's part of the job. You have to make sacrifices. You don't live a normal life or the way that life is for other people who can just have time off with their work, or, you know what I mean? If, I remember Marissa and I had our first child, Myra. The next day, like, I'm out training. The next day after that, like, I'm playing a game. Like, I'm not in the hospital. I can't just take 2 weeks maternity leave off because I've got to be at training. Like, I've got to be available. I've got to be playing the game. So she's in the hospital bed, breastfeeding the baby, watching me on the TV, and then I play the game and then, come back after the game. Like, I would love to be off for 2 weeks just providing support, but it's just not possible. So, yeah, there's some of the things, I guess, the insight into, of things, that are required as a professional athlete. Yeah.
Love it. Was there ever a point, like, before this year and last year, where you seriously considered walking away earlier? Let's say in your late 20s. Was there any adversity you dealt with?
No, not that I considered walking away.
Yeah.
No. I mean, there was a time before my career had even started that really rattled me. We were playing an under-14s tournament, Buckley Shield it was called at the time. We were playing in high school, and I was playing, and we were playing Eagle Vale High School, actually. I still remember we were playing Eagle Vale High School. And anyway, we won the game, and we were playing these guys who were much bigger than us, are very much more intimidating than we were. And anyway, they weren't happy that they lost the game, and a couple of their older brothers stormed the field and basically started an all-in brawl. Excuse me.
Well, under 14s.
Yeah. So obviously you can imagine it's a high school game. There's two schools there. Some older players from each team storm the field, or from their team storm the field, and then our sort of school stormed the field to kind of like help and back our team up. And then anyway, I saw one of my best mates, Stuart Mills, who would later on to go make his NRL debut. He got king hit in the back of the head and fell to the ground. And I remember seeing it going, oh my God, just like, what's going on here? Like, he wasn't moving, and I was like, man, like, this is crazy. It's like chaos and everything. And anyway, we won the game, obviously, the buzzer, and like, I was just rattled. I just saw my best mate just get king hit in the back of the head. He eventually got up and he was okay. He was a bit rattled. I went home, and my high school coach at the time came over to my house, and I was just sitting upstairs, like literally just by myself. And he's like, mate, are you all right? And I was like, no, like, I'm not, I feel like I'm not okay. Like, I did not like enjoy seeing that. And he's like, mate, I understand, like, if you don't want to play anymore. And I was like, I just don't know. Like, I don't have an answer right now. Like, I'm just a bit rattled. And then, yeah, I got back into it after that. But that was a moment I was pretty like, it rattled me, because I was like, I don't want to go out and get in fights. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, that was a bit that rattled me a bit as a youngster, but no, not in the late 20s. I think there was never a time in my career until my last season in the Cowboys where I actually started genuinely thinking about stopping playing. You know, I looked at the option last year, but ultimately, yeah, like I said, thought I could still play this year. But then this year, you know what I mean? In preseason was hard, and every day I was like to myself, you know, you're thinking, just what am I actually doing? Like, this is so hard. And I thought about quitting, you know what I mean, so much, but like ultimately, like, I'm just very proud that I never quit, you know what I mean? I never quit. I gave my all, and I did things I didn't want to do. Lots of times there's stuff where I'm like, inside I'm like, I don't really want to do that, but like, you have to do it. You have to do it if you want to be a player and you want to, you know, you want to do this job. There are certain things you don't like doing that you have to do, and I did plenty of that. But yeah, I'd say that's about it.
Do you feel like the moment or the reality of retirement has actually hit you yet, or?
I don't know, not really, to be honest. I don't think until like the final game that I play, you know, at the end of the season, and you know, it'll be a weird feeling, you know what I mean? Like when you actually play and it's like, hey, that's actually the last game of footy I'll ever play, and that's crazy. You know, there's been a lot of times this year where I've felt like I've been fairly emotional with regards to like my decision and the game and my family, and I think that last game will be a pretty emotional day, and you know, my family and all that, they'll be there for sure. But because it's just, you look back on your journey and it's like 30 years all comes at you in one game. So I reckon, yeah, it'll be quite emotional. But I also, you know, I feel like I'm at peace, and I'm just grateful and I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm a mid-30s male who has 4 kids, and I have nothing to complain about. You know what I mean? I've done my time. I've gave it everything I've got, and you know what I mean? I've had the time of my life doing it. I've built some great relationships, and I'm just very, very happy. So you can't, like, there's nothing anyone could say to me that's just, I live a great life. You know what I mean? I'm very, very happy, and I'm proud of what I've achieved. I'm proud of what I've done. And from where I came from the smallest little suburb of like 500 people, and yeah, from a small junior club, and I earn everything I got as well, that's one thing I'm very proud of. Like, everything that I did achieve was on the back of my own hard work. And I know, because I remember that voice in my head when I was training by myself, whether it was in the off season or in the Christmas break, and it was like cold and raining, and I'd rock up to the Oval early in the morning and no one else would be there. And the voice in my head would be saying, no one will actually know if you do this session or if you don't. But my self, you know, consciously, like, I'll know if I've done it or not. And there were countless times where I did the work and I was like, yeah, like I've earned that through that hard work, doing things that I didn't want to do that, you know, necessarily, but I needed to do it, and I got it done. And that's a pretty cool feeling to have.
When you do take your boots off for the last time, who will be the first person you think of?
Yeah, for my wife and kids, for sure, definitely. You know, it'll be a cool moment. And my kids are at that age where, you know, my eldest is 7, 5, 4 and 2. Like, they don't understand football, which is a good thing. Like, they don't they know dad plays footy, but they don't understand, I guess, you know, that I've played in the NRL for the last 15 years, and I don't push football onto them. I don't force them to watch football, to play football. They do whatever they like, you know what I mean? My kids will forge their own lives, and I'll be very supportive of whatever they like to do. But I guess in that last game, it'll be, yeah, I think it'll be, I'll probably be emotional. I'll be sad, because I'm happy. And I think all the experiences I've had will just sort of flash in front of me, I feel. And everything I have in my life is from the game. You know what I mean? My best friends, my wife, my kids, you know, basically all the money I've earned in my life, you know, is through football. Everything I've had, everything I've given is through the game. And, you know, the game, it's the greatest game in the world. And I am just very grateful that I got the option or the ability to fall in love with the game as a youngster. And, you know, I just gave it everything that I had. So yeah, I think it'll be an emotional time for me, because there has been a lot of emotional moments this year, especially like with the drive to and from Moore Park from the Shire. Like there's, you know, half an hour to 40 minutes every day you know, probably an hour and a half in the car, where it's like I've had a lot of time to think about this decision in my life. And like I've been driving, and like I listen to Spotify and a song might come on, and all of a sudden I've just found myself like just crying in the car. Yeah, from just thinking about my life and you know, things that I've got, experiences I've had, and because I've had the time to think about it. You know what I mean? So it has been, you know, I don't know if tough's the word, but it's like, just because the thing is, like, when you do make the decision to retire, it's like, here's my life as a book, and here's just a massive chapter of my life just closing. And that's the thing that I think is the biggest reality, and why I think, you know, I've had the emotion that I've had so far this year when I've been driving in the car, or, you know, when I've gotten home. Like I remember earlier in the season, like I remember getting home from training, and I just walked in the door and I saw Marissa, and I just like burst out in tears, just saying like I'm done. Like I don't want to play. I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. Like I'm you know, I want to retire. And, you know, she was there. She was helping me out, and that's what I mean, like the roller coaster of the game. And obviously, you know, your wife and family, they ride the roller coaster as well. But yeah, like there's been times where it's been tough, and she's been there for me the whole time. So I'm very, very thankful for her support.
How did Marissa and your inner circle kind of react to your decision?
Yeah, like, I mean, Marissa's been there for me for a long time. We've been together for 13 of the 15 years I've played in the game. She wanted me to play on last year when I was sort of talking about retirement at the end of last year. She thought I had another year in me. And then this year, when I said to her I'd made the decision, you know, we kind of like would talk about it here and there, but I never kind of said it out loud. And then it was like, yep, this is it. I feel like as the season kind of progressed, and over the past, you know, weeks and months and whatever, I've personally come to this decision. And it wasn't until like my brother-in-law was actually over, Scotty Sorensen and his wife, and our kids were out the backyard playing, and he just asked me, he said, like, what are you up to next year? And Marissa and I literally had the conversation like the day before, where it was like, hey, like, you know, yep, like this is the final year. Like I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I feel like it's time to move on. And anyway, the next day, it was like the weekend, and Sorrow was over, and we were just we were sitting at the kitchen bench, and we were just having a general chat. And he's like, so, mate, what are you doing? And I was like, I was kind of caught off guard by the question, just because I just spoke about it. And I said to him, yeah, like, I'm retiring. And I, like, tears just rolled down my eyes. And it's like the first time you actually say it out loud to someone, where it's like, it actually like hits you. You know, when you think about it in your head, and, you know, or you're like, oh yeah, I'll retire here, and I'll retire then, or I'll do this, then I'll retire. But it's not until you actually to say to someone for the first time out loud, like, yeah, like I am retiring. It's like, I just remember like a big like hot flush came over me. Like I started like crying, like I had a few tears in my eyes, and Yeah, I remember that. He was very supportive, and yeah, it's everyone I've sort of told, privately over the past couple of weeks since I've made the call have been super supportive, and that's just been so awesome. And, at the time of recording this, obviously it's not out publicly just yet, but, I hope to kind of, probably connect with a few people, when it comes out publicly. And I look forward to, to speaking to a few people, hopefully, when it does go out. So, yeah.
What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind? From your teammates, from fans, and like on the field as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, for me, my legacy in the game is, look, I think I was never the best junior. Like, I was never like, I made some rep teams, but not all of them. I was never like the next big thing coming into the NRL, which I'm very thankful for, to be honest. I was never paid on potential, I never paid on potential. And the thing in my legacy, I think, is that like, I earned everything that I got. And like, that just makes me so proud. Like, I'm so comfortable that like, I can say, yeah, like I earned every single thing that I got. I never got given anything. Like, I had to work hard for what I got, and I did work hard. And I think it just goes to show, if you're someone who you may not be the best or the most talented, the highest ranked junior, but if you work hard, like, there are awesome rewards for you. There's longevity for you. There's success for you. There's good contracts for you. If you work hard and you're a good teammate, like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I felt like I had that hard work, that work ethic instilled in me from a young age. And, when I finish up, I think, I'd love to just sort of leave that and say, hey, if you work hard, you know what I mean? Like, I was never the highest paid player in our team, in any team I played for. I don't think I was ever the best player in the team, but, I worked hard for what I got, and ultimately I feel like I deserve what I got. So that's about it. And
what do you think your proudest moment in your whole of your career would be? Doesn't have to be a win, but a moment that's got to you, like, personally.
Yeah, I mean, my proudest moment. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of highlights, I think, looking back on, but I think my proudest moment was in 2016. We played the Raiders down in Canberra. It was 2v3. They were 2, we were 3. We were the away team, and week 1 of the finals, and we played, and about 20 minutes to go, Flano pulled me off the field for the first time that season. And Louis and I, we just probably weren't on the same page that night. We like had a couple of balls to the ground, and we had a couple of miscommunication. And look, I didn't feel like I was playing bad or anything, but then the message came down. It was like, you're coming off. And I was like, why am I coming off? Like, why am I coming off? And we'd always carried an outside back on the bench. So Birdie went into centre, and Gerard Beale came off the bench and went onto the field. And then, anyway, we won the game. And an amazing win. But I got taken off the field. So I was like, I had to... mentally in my head, I had a few mixed kind of thoughts and feelings, because I was like, I can't be seen moping around here. Like, we just won an away finals game. Now we have the weekend off after the season that we've had. And personally, like, I've had one of the best seasons of my career. I played every minute of every game so far. I was having the best year of my life. And I was like, I didn't understand. And then on my way home, I remember speaking to my agent, and he's like, how are you? And I said, like, man, like, I'm a little bit rattled, if I'm honest. I just don't understand why, like, I got taken off. And he's like, that's all right. Like, you know what I mean? Keep your head up. What you need to do is on Monday morning, you go into the coach's office, you look him dead in the eye, and you say, look, I understand, like, why you did what you did, but that will never happen again. And you look him dead in the eye and you say that. And so anyway, Monday morning, I walked into Flano's office, and I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? Why'd you take me off and this and that? He's like, yeah, I just thought we needed something there in the last 20 and I needed to get Billy on the field, and it was just, I thought that was the right play, and I was like, all right, I get it. Like, I understand that. What's to go with me for the next, in 2 weeks' time? And he's like, look, you're our halfback. You're our halfback. You've played halfback for us all year. You'll be starting in there. Nothing's going to change. It was just at that time, I felt like this was what we needed to do. So that gave me a bit of confidence. And then after he said that, I looked him dead in the eye and I said to him, that will never, ever happen again. And Flano was like, all right, that's good. That's what I want to hear. And then I went out, and then that 2 weeks, obviously because we had the weekend off, I was getting hammered in the media. People were saying like, I got hooked and all this and that and whatever. And I just didn't read into it. I got off social media and trained my absolute ass off physically and mentally. I was doing a lot of mental stuff as well just to be right for that game. And then anyway, the following week, the Broncos and the Cowboys played, and the Cowboys won in Golden Point. And then we played the Cowboys the following week at Allianz Stadium in the prelim to get into the NRL Grand Final. And that week leading up to the Cowboys game, it was there was a lot of press from the Cowboys having a go at me, saying that I'm under pressure and all this, and I've been, taken off, and I had seen a little bit of it, but I was trying to sort of not engage with it. So I knew it was a big game for me. But then I came out in that Cowboys game, and I probably had one of the best games of my career. And I scored a try. I set up another one. I kicked unbelievably well. And there was a moment after the game where I've just got the photo at home. I'm like down on one knee. I'm in tears. And it was just an incredible moment, because if I didn't have that setback, like, I wouldn't have had that euphoric feeling that I had in that game against the Cowboys. And Peter Sterling came over to me after the game and gave me a big hug, and he just whispered these words into my ear, which, like, I got asked about what he said after the game, and I've kept it to myself privately since that moment. And there might be a day where I do say kind of what he said, but I just was so appreciative of what Peter Sterling came over and said to me, and I've been a massive fan of him for a long time. But yeah, obviously because of the adversity I faced, to have that setback, that euphoric feeling that I had in that game was probably like one of the best feelings in my life I've ever had. And that photo that I've got, it's going to go in my front room somewhere, because it meant a lot. So I think, yeah, that was probably one of the proudest moments I had, because of, just the adversity and the resilience that I showed to be able to bounce back. And then obviously we
went on to win.
Then went on to win the grand final as well.
That's pretty cool to listen to.
Yeah, cool. That was cool, but yeah.
All right. That's cool to listen to, because I was at that game. That Cronulla Queensland game. Yeah. I was in the nosebleeds up the very top of Allianz. I think we paid like $20 ticket. That was a cool crowd. Coming out to like the Sea of Blue.
Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah, it was great. I love playing there, actually, at that old Allianz Stadium.
Yeah, it's a good stadium.
Yeah.
What does it feel like now that this chapter is closing for you?
Yeah.
Doing it all at once, or?
I think, I've said a couple of times, I think the chapter of playing, closes, and like, I get emotional when I talk about it, and like, I've said sad, but like, I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm very happy. Like, I'm grateful, but I think just living life not as a player is, you hear about the people that have the struggles in post-footy and things like that, and I feel like I'm very prepared for my post-playing career or life, but I do know, like, there will be struggles, there will be tough times. But I think ultimately it comes back to, like, just a sense of gratitude for my journey and, like, life. Like, when you actually... you take a step back and you actually look at life. I mean, I know I'm getting a little bit deep here, but it's like what is like life? Like, what is the meaning of life? You know what I mean? Why do we live? Why do we want to live? Like, when I take a step back and look at a holistic thing of like my life, it's like I'm happy. Like, I want to live a great life. You know what I mean? So that's the thing that I think gets me the most is, when I get emotional is because of life. You know what I mean? You get older, like to be nearly 35 and like am I just under halfway of my life expectancy? You know what I mean? Like, what do I like? What do I do in life? You know what I mean? And as I get older, my kids get older. You know what I mean? That's where a lot of my focus is going to be. And yeah, it's just like it's the life, man. And it's a crazy thing. And I know I'm sort of blabbering on a bit here about it, but yeah, I'm very grateful about, my life and my football career. And, I look forward to doing, things post football. Yeah.
Love it. Let's go through some of your favorite moments of your career. We'll start with the Sharks.
Yeah.
Early days of the Sharks.
Yeah, so obviously, as I said, made my debut 2011, which was incredible. Early days in the Sharks were, I got the opportunity to play with the likes of Paul Gallen, Jeremy Smith, Ben Pomeroy as well, John Morris. There was a lot of guys who, I just was very, very lucky that, I got the opportunity to play with. And, early days, I think it was more about just figuring the whole first grade or professional, footy out. And obviously, when I came into the NRL, I felt comfortable. I felt great. I felt like I was, playing relatively well in my first season. I played 11 games in my first season. And then in my second season, the Sharks had signed Jeff Robson kind of over the top of me, which I was a bit frustrated with. And that kind of hindered my development, where I only played 5 games in my second year. And then in my second year, I cracked my sternum. So I only got those 5 games. I was out for about 8 weeks with a sternum injury. And then in my third year, I was fine, I was fit, but I only played 3 games in my final year. Yeah, actually, no, sorry, I played 11 3 games and then 5 games in my last career, I'm pretty sure it was. So I played 19 games in my first 3 years, which wasn't a lot. And in that third year, like I said, the team had signed Jeff Robson, who was like a veteran half, and there was times where I was playing, I played when Todd and Robbo were the halves, and Todd was out with Origin one game, and I played, and then I got 3 Dally M points, and I got man of the match, and I was like, surely I'm kept in the team the next week, and I wasn't in the team, and I was like, I said to my agent at the time, I said, look, I'm off contract this year. I said, I don't want you to negotiate with Cronulla. I am leaving Cronulla. Get me out of here. I need to go somewhere else for more opportunity. So what we did was met Phil Gould at the Panthers. We had Chinese lunch with Phil Gould. And then I went and met with the Warriors, Matt Elliott, who was the head coach at the time, at a hotel near the airport. And I had an offer from both of them. And ultimately I decided I needed to do something that would get me out of my comfort zone and would challenge me and would make me grow into being a first grade player, to have a career. So I chose the Warriors.
It wasn't the bad Chinese food that you had before.
No. It wasn't the King One or anything like that.
King One.
Anyway, yeah, I chose the Warriors, and yeah, the recruitment pitch from the Warriors was it wasn't like, hey, if you come here, you'll start. It was like, if you come here and you work hard, there's an opportunity for you to play, but you need to come and earn it. You know what I mean? I wasn't offered a starting position. So I went over to the Warriors. I trained my absolute backside off, and I've got to thank Nathan Friend for that. He was a mentor and someone who pushed me extremely hard over at the Warriors. And yeah, we had an awesome time at the Warriors. I started round 1 of my first season, and I played 42 games over 2 years. So only missed a handful of games at the Warriors. And Look, I got a lot of love for the Warriors. Like, up the wires, man. Like, I'm a Warriors fan. Like, I love watching them these days. You know, I only played, you know, obviously a couple of seasons there, but look, I'll be a Warrior for life, I feel, just with the opportunity they gave me. And, yeah, we had some good times at the Warriors.
Did you find it hard moving back to Cronulla after the experience you had in your first 3 years?
Yeah, well, I think, so when I was at the Warriors for the 2 years, 14 and 15, I played there. And 15, I was playing like some of the best football of my career. And in 16, the Warriors had an option for me to stay in their favour. And I went to the coach at the time and I said, look, coach, like Marissa's mum had been diagnosed with bowel cancer and we wanted to move back to Sydney to kind of be closer to her. She hadn't really been given much time to live. And she later passed away in 2020 and during COVID. But it was like, I said to the coach, like, look, we want to move back home. I haven't spoken to any teams yet, but we have a preference to move back to Sydney. And he's like, well, mate, like, well, I want to offer you a new 3-year deal. And I was like, far out, mate. Like, I really do appreciate that. Like, but it's like, it's not, at the moment, it's not really about the money for me or the deal. It's about getting back to Sydney, you know what I mean? And being closer to some family. And then my agent rang Flano and said, what do you think about Chad? Like, would you take him back? You know, and he's like, mate, we want him back now. We want him back. They tried to get me back for the end of 2015, but that didn't work. And he said, mate, we want him back now. So we were playing the Sharks that week. We played them at Shark Park. And I went and met with Flano the night before the game. And he's like, mate, like, I've watched you the last 2 years. You've been in great form. You've matured as a player. You've really excelled. We want you back for next year. We're going to offer you a 2-year. So they only offered me a 2-year deal where I got 3 years offer at the Warriors. But because I wanted to move back to Sydney, I took the 2-year deal. And he said, look, mate, we're going to get you and James Maloney as our new halves. We want you're going to be our starting 7. James Maloney's going to be 5'8". Michael Ennis will be our hooker. Ben Barber's our fullback. And we want you guys to be the cornerstone of the team moving forward. And then they offered me a 2-year deal. And then, I signed it, moved back home, back to Cronulla, and that sort of took us into 2016, which I mean, we know what happened in 2016. Hey? Yeah.
Did you feel at the start of that season, or even before you even went back to Sydney, that you were building something special with that team?
Yeah, I mean, they had a really good season in 2015, the Sharks. I mean, they made the finals. They lost to the Cowboys in the finals, who would go on to win the comp. So they were building, and then they made a couple of signings with the roster. Obviously, Jimmy Maloney and myself in the halves, and that preseason was really good. We were just clicking like as a team. And I remember we went on a camp to the Central Coast and, there's this photo of Wade Graham, James Maloney and myself talking to Flano. And that moment, it was that moment on the camp that I remember thinking to myself, like, we have something really, really special here. And I remember that day, it was just like that. There's that photo, and I was like, I remember seeing it, and just like, man, we are just slinging it out here. We are moving the ball so well, and that's something I've never seen before. The camaraderie we have, the combinations that we had were great. And then obviously as the season progressed, we started off a little bit scrappy. We lost round 1 to the Cowboys up there. Then we won round 2. Then we lost. Then we won, and then we went on a streak of like 15 wins in a row.
16.
Yeah, sorry. We didn't lose a game for 4 months straight. Like, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
How did that feel?
It felt absolutely incredible. And the best thing was like that Flano could just like put the same team in every week. It was like the same team sheet. Yeah, we had no injuries, barely any injuries. So Flano was just 1 to 17, 1 to 17, 1 to 17. The consistency, the camaraderie, the combinations, the connection that we had within the team. And Luke Lewis was just driving connection every single week. Boys, we are going for a coffee. Let's go. Everyone here. And you didn't have to go, but people wanted to go. So there'd be like 12, 15 guys turning up to coffee every single time. And that was different. I'd never seen that at a team before. So that was something that was, which was great, which was really pushed by the senior players. And ultimately, the senior players really pushed our values and our standards that season. Michael Ennis, Paul Gallen, Wade Graham, Chris Heinington, all of these guys just really, they pushed the standards. Louis as well, we're doing a fantastic job. And then, I remember there was a time in the season where I was like, if we don't win the competition this year, this is just a wasted year. That's how I felt with how we were playing. And it was nerve-wracking come towards the end of this season because Cronulla had never won a competition. Sharks aren't, I wouldn't say, considered a big team. You know what I mean? Nothing like...
Back then, especially.
Yeah, back then, for sure. Not a big club, you know what I mean? So, that's had success, a lot of success in the past. So as we moved towards the back end of the year, we went through a bit of a rough patch where we lost 1 or 2 games at the end of the year, and then we got the finals and we played in Melbourne for the minor premiership, and they beat us. And I remember after that game, they scored at the very end and we were standing in goal, and Michael Ennis was just saying to us on the field, boys, this regular season's done. It's a new competition now, and all we need to do is win 3 games in a row. We win 3 games in a row, we're the premiers. We can do it. Let's go. This is a new season. And I just remember thinking, geez, yeah, we can, 100% we can do that. So then obviously that went into the Raiders game, which I spoke about before. Had the week off, went into the Cowboys game. Obviously spoke about that before as well with how, that was one of the pivotal moments in my career with how I felt like I played. And then the grand final. And to turn the porch lights off and to achieve what we achieved with that team, yeah, there's some of the best memories I'll have in my life, that grand final. The celebration, the game was crazy, 14-12, went down to the wire. I haven't actually watched it.
Have you watched those last,
I've watched the last minute.
That last play, yeah.
So when I kicked for touch, I grubbed it out on the right-hand touchline. Storm had a scrum feed. I've watched from there. That last minute, us defending. And Flano and Steve Price we used to do this drill where we used to defend down a man. So it would be 8v10, whatever. The defense is always down a number. And we just did it on the goal line every single week. It was scramble defense, cover, don't stop moving. And you just see in those last minutes, especially when the Storm have the ball, they're attacking our try line. Our whole right edge is on the left side of the field just chasing. And then they shift back out to our right, and our whole edge sprints across the other side of the field. And then they shift back again, and it's we just wanted it. We just wanted it more. So, and that tackle by Ricky Latelli, to win the game. And then for fighter. Mickey Ennis was one of the greatest interviews of all time. For fighter. He's like this. For fighter.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, for fighter. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, one of the greatest feelings ever. And then obviously we had the whole week celebrating in the Shire in Cronulla, crowd surfing in Northies.
Yeah.
The streets were just packed. The field was packed. The whole final series, we had awesome support. People were painting their houses black, white, and blue. And next year's the 10-year reunion of our premiership. So I know there's a few plans next year. We've got our own personal plans as well, which we plan to implement. So keep an eye out for that with the content. But yeah, and obviously after 2016, you know what I mean. There was a couple of years there where we averaged a top 4 finish every year. So they were great years. 16, 17, 18, 19. 18 was another great year. Yeah, finishing the top 4, made the prelim.
Lost to Sydney Roosters.
Yeah, we lost the Roosters week 1. Then I kicked a field goal to beat Penrith 21-20. Then that was awesome. Then the following week we lost to Melbourne. In Melbourne, that was when Billy Slater shoulder charged Fecky and got off to play his last game in the grand final. But we don't need to talk about that. But yes, I guess it's hard to not. It's hard. There's so many obviously details about each and every season, but that sort of 4-year stretch of 16, 17, 18, 19 was probably some of the most fun and enjoyable football I played at Cronulla. The most successful years, in club history. And look, to be a kid from Yarwara, from the Shire, to go from the family hill waving my flag to on the field to winning the first ever premiership for Cronulla, like that gives me a lot of satisfaction, and I'm very proud of that achievement. And I love looking at my premiership ring at home. Grand final day, I wear it. When I was at the club, we used to wear it to like presentation night or season launch night. But I think once I finish playing, I might wear it a little bit more. Maybe just like if I'm out to dinner with my wife, or like
getting coffee.
I don't know. Like, imagine that. Yeah, mate, I'm just going down to the cafe. I'm just going to chuck my ring on.
You're just walking down Cronulla. You just like putting your hand on your head, your ring's there.
I'll wear it to the 10-year reunion next year. Obviously, we all will. But yeah, I mean, I don't wear it too much now, to be honest. I wear it on. I think I was wearing it on grand final day, and then like, then I see Sorrow, my brother-in-law, and he's got 4 of them. And I mean, that's a whole other podcast, another story, which we'll talk about with Sorrow one day. But for him to have 4, I'm like, wow,
he's
incredible.
MJ numbers.
And I am, I'm just bragging about my 1. But yeah, it was, they were good years at the Sharks. Very good years.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Love it. And then the move to the Cowboys, how did that come about after the short Warriors stints you had?
Yeah, so moved to the Cowboys. So I'd signed like an extension at Cronulla for like 4 years. And then in 2021, I had a player option for 2022. And then there was a club option for 2023. So effectively, I could be off contract if I wanted to be. And I wasn't like looking for teams or looking for clubs or expecting to leave anywhere. And my manager kind of rang me out of nowhere. And he's like, mate, Michael Morgan's just about to retire from the Cowboys, and they need someone like yourself to go up there with experience and get these guys around the park with a good kicking game. Would you be interested in going to chat with them? And I was like, far out. Like, it fully caught me off guard. And I was like, yeah, all right, let's go, let's do it. I'd be silly not to just at least have the conversation. So I went and had coffee with Todd Payton, Michael Luck, who was the general manager, and Dane Campbell, who was the head of recruitment at the time. And they basically just sort of pitched to me the club and showed me all the facilities and sort of said to me like, hey, we need a guy like yourself who can come in to get our team around the park, to run game plans, to, have with a good kicking game and good leadership. And, we've identified you as a guy that we're really interested in. What do you say? And I was like, look, like, I'm definitely open to it. Like, I'm pretty settled here in the Shire with my wife, and I've got, just had our 3rd baby, bought our house 2 years ago in the Shire. And it would have been easy for me to say, look, I'm comfortable in the Shire. You know what I mean? I'm very settled here, living at home, around family. But then about 2 days after the meeting, I got an offer from the Cowboys for 3 years. And within 7 days of that offer coming to me, I'd agreed and signed to move to North Queensland for the following 3 years. So I said to the Sharks, look, I'm going to knock back my player option, and I'm going to move on to the Cowboys. And yeah, it was a big call. Obviously, moving to rural North Queensland, where I'd been in, a lot of the capital cities my whole life. But it turned out to be one of the best decisions I ever made, to move out of, I guess, my comfort zone and challenge myself again in my career. I feel like I needed it at that time, and then moved to the Cowboys. And a lot of people had written us off, that season in 2022. A lot of people had tipped us to come last, and I actually saved in my phone a lot of journos who tipped us to come last and who were writing us off. And I used that as like personal motivation that year. Looking back on it, I'm like, I laugh at it now because I guess, as you get older, but at that time it like helped me, with sort of training and playing and sort of trying to prove people wrong. And yeah, we made the prelim again that year. We finished in the top 4. We lost to Parramatta, who would go on to play in the grand final against Parramatta the following week. Against Penrith the following week. But yeah, just that 2022 season was just some of the best football I ever played, most fun I ever had. probably the most beers I drank all season. Like we would win and we just go out and drink beers. Like it was just the most drinking I've done all season. When you win, like you just drink beers. Like
Why that season as opposed to every other season you had?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like
The Queensland culture.
yeah, well, like I mean, when you're a traveling team, it's easier to kind of when you're away to kind of go out because you're just all together in the hotel or whatever it is. It's not like you go home and then you sort of go out after that and things like that. You're all together anyway, so it's easy to just hang out and socialise. And being a traveling team, it's like you do have a lot of time together and you make the most of that time. And that's where I feel my time at the Cowboys, like the relationships I built at the Cowboys are some of the best relationships and my closest mates, today in football, like Drinky and Val, Tommy, still speak to Ruben, Jason, Robbo, all those guys. Spent so much time with them. But yeah, I think we just had a lot of fun together at the Cows. A lot of time. We trained hard, we played hard, and that first season was definitely a career highlight with regards to how the season went and what we're able to achieve, and just seeing the growth of guys like Tommy Dearden and Robbo and Ruben who, built themselves into rep players, Queensland, Australia, New South Wales for Robbo. Like to see that progression over the couple of years that I was there, like just made me so proud of to see them do that. And it was a great time at the Cows. I loved it. And obviously, like I said earlier, like to be a co-captain with Jason was a real career highlight and something I took very seriously. When you look at the history of the Cowboys and some of the players who have played for that team and that country, that town, and the captains, I took that job very seriously, and I'd like to hope that I did a good job in that position as well.
You said that game, the qualies against the Sharks at PointsBet. You said it was one of the toughest games of your career.
Yeah.
What can you run us through that game?
Oh yeah, that was crazy, man. So the first week of the finals, it was 2 versus 3, Sharks versus us, 2022, and we're playing at Shark Park. And this was the first time I'd been back at Shark Park since I'd left, and I knew it was a big game for me. I knew the crowd was going to be into me and all that, which doesn't really affect me. It's more about just obviously it's a finals game. It's a big game. And then what also added to this was that my family was actually in Sydney. My wife and 3 kids were in Sydney, and my wife was just about to give birth to our 4th baby. So she was due to give birth the Wednesday after the game. So if we played Cronulla and if we won, like we would get the week off. But, if we lost, we would have to play the following week. So ideal scenario for us was that if we won the game, we have the week off. I can stay back in Sydney with my family. Marissa can have the baby. I can be there at the birth, give all help with the kids, and then I don't have to play that weekend. Then I can come back to train. We can play the following week. But if we lost, we'd obviously have to play. So I'd be like, far out. Like I'm gonna have to miss a couple of days of training, and my family's in Sydney. My wife wanted to have the baby in Sydney around her family, and the same doctors and all that sort of stuff. So I respected all those wishes a bit. And then when we won the game, obviously went to Golden Point. Val kicks that amazing field goal. Crowd's going off. You know what I mean? It's just incredible moment for Val and myself. Being past players at the Sharks, and obviously, a lot of fans kind of getting into us. But yeah, it was great. It was great. And obviously, like I said, that to have that week off, like the coach gave me a couple of days off to have, with the family, and then I went back up to Townsville to prepare for the following week. So that was that was a really big game. Really big game. It was cool.
What did you enjoy the most playing at the Cowboys?
I mean, obviously, like the lifestyle in Townsville is very different to Sydney. Like it's very chilled. It's very relaxed. It is very like it's a big country town, you know what I mean? So I loved, I mean, the facilities were second to none. I was in the facility a lot, even on all my days off, you know what I mean? Like there's sauna, ice bath, physio treatment, everything you can get there. Obviously the golf, I mean, there wasn't that much to do in Townsville other than sort of play golf on our days off. So we would try and play golf, once a week with the boys. And we had a good crew of golfers there who were good golfers who hit a good ball. And we had a lot of banter. And I guess ultimately that's how our Players Golf Club started. You know what I mean? With Val, Drinky, and myself, we were talking about, or we were playing, and we're like, I need to buy a polo. And I was like, well, why don't we just make our own polos? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. What do we come up with a name? So we came up with a name and kind of progressed from there. And now it's like it's a full-on fledged brand that we've turned into a passion, into something where we can sell clothes and play golf and create a community, build a community of people who just love golf. And we're the same as well. We love playing. That's kind of what happens to you. You know what I mean? When you're mid-20s, as you get towards your 30s, you kind of fall in love with like golf, mowing the lawns and barbecuing and all that.
New vacuum cleaners,
all that stuff.
It's all the small things.
Yeah, it's been great. Like we love our golf, and obviously Drinky's still holding the fort up there in North Queensland, and Val and I down here. But yeah, regardless, we still speak every day and absolutely loving it.
And then you decided to move. You talked a bit about after the Cowboys, the decision to maybe retire or move back to Sydney. You got the deal with Roosters. How did that come about?
Yeah, so like I said, the negotiation phase, at the Cows was we were talking to teams overseas, and I was open to going overseas, but being open and then actually being like, hey, like we're actually doing this are two different things. I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do for my family or for my kids. And that's when I was like, well, if we don't get much interest in Sydney, like where I would want to play, like we might have to finish up. So that became a real option. And then obviously kind of out of the blue, I got a call from my manager saying, the Roosters are interested to have a chat with you on a 1-year deal. What do you think? And I was like, well, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a chat. And the offer came through for 1 year, and I was like, yeah, like this is it. Let's do it. Let's do the 1 year, and then let's just. I don't want to say, I'm going to do the 1 year, then I'll retire at that time. But it's like I'll just do the 1 year. And I tried. I didn't want to think about retirement. You know what I mean? When I signed the deal, because you kind of just you can't think like that. So took the deal as a great opportunity for us to move back to Sydney and get our family back home. And now my kids we're back in our own house, you know what I mean, where my kids are in school, the school that we always wanted them to go to. My daughters are doing gymnastics. My son plays footy. I get to see my friends a whole lot more, you know what I mean. So, yeah, really happy that we made the call to come back to Sydney. And then, ultimately, now that's Sydney's home. You know what I mean? It's just a good feeling to be back home. So, yeah, now we get to do this stuff too. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Do the podcast and do all the vlogs and things like that, which we plan on doing a whole lot more. So yeah, it's been good. Just
to, I guess, close off this whole thing. Is there anything you would say, or if there's stuff you would say to your fans, to people in the NRL? What would it be?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that have affected me or helped me throughout my career. Obviously, the fans. I'd love to say a thank you to all the fans, who have helped me, who have supported me, have shown love towards me. Like, it's been an incredible journey, and I've loved, sharing, our passion of rugby league together. To the clubs that I played for, Cronulla Sharks, New Zealand Warriors, North Queensland Cowboys, and the Sydney Roosters. Like, thank you for the opportunity. That has been, a real highlight of mine. To my management, Chris and Gavin Orr at Pacific Sports Management, thank you for your support and guidance throughout my entire NRL career. Like, that's been incredible. I really appreciate all that support and negotiation behind the scenes. To my teammates, thank you for your love, support. You guys were there for me through the tough times, through the good times. We shared some great times together, and I was lucky enough to meet some incredible people over my time. And to my wife, my kids, thank you for your unwavering support. we've shared a long journey, and you've been there for me. My wife, Marissa, she's done an amazing job. She's been the rock of my career. She's picked me up when I've been down, and she's patted me on the back when I've needed it. So I love that. And I guess the last thing I'd say, just to close that off, is probably like in the game, in football, like it's a business, right? It's a business, and there's things that have happened over the course of my career, I guess, that whether it's been done by clubs or by coaches or individuals or whatever it may be, where we may not have seen eye to eye, and that stuff hasn't gotten out publicly ever from me or from anyone. But what I will say is, like, I forgive those people. Like, I will move into my life post football. I don't hold any grudges. I don't hold any bad will towards anyone. Like, I get the game is the business, and you know what I mean? Which these examples may not ever get spoken about, but I forgive those people. You know what I mean? I don't hold on to that stuff. My life post-football will be about happiness, balance, doing the things that I want to do. I'm not going to be like in a couple of years' time talking about such and such coach or player where they might have dropped me or didn't play me or didn't sign me for whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Talking down on that person. I may talk about it as an experience, but like never in like ill will or like a bad way. You know what I mean? I forgive those people. You know what I mean? So it's a business. It's a tough business, and that's why ultimately, like, I've got a lot of respect for the players these days, and I'll always be a player. I'll always stand up for the players. I'll always talk from the players' point of view, because I want the players to have success, each and every player to earn as much money as they can, to play as best as they can. And I just wanted to add that on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Should we move out to our next segment? Is our top 5 moments.
Yes. So I know we've rambled on for a fair bit today, but
top 5.
Look, we've been doing the top 5 lately, and I wanted to do the top 5 moments of my NRL career. And starting off at number 5, well, I had to mark this as probably a highlight of my career, 250 NRL game career. Now, I didn't get to 300 at the moment. I'm sitting at 268. But 250 was a huge milestone for myself. Like I said, from someone who comes from a small suburb, earned everything I got. Extremely proud to get to that 250 milestone and finish on the 268. Number 4, well, I spoke about it in detail before, but was beating the Cowboys in the 2016 prelim final to make the grand final. That was a pivotal moment in my career where I faced some adversity, was able to bounce back, show some resilience, and I had one of the best games of my career. Number 3, when I was named co-captain of the North Queensland Cowboys with Jason Taumalolo. That was an incredible moment for myself, a really proud moment, and a job that I took very seriously for those 2 years at the Cowboys. That was awesome. Number 2 was my NRL debut. Now, I spoke about it before, playing against the Broncos and Darren Lockyer. It was an incredible night. Obviously, it's sacrificed and worked so hard for that moment. That was the second or the top. That was in the top 2. And then number 1, well, I mean, you can't go past it. The NRL grand final win with the Sharks in 2016 was the top moment of my career, and something that I'll look back on, for years and years to come, and be very proud of. I just love looking at that ring. So yeah, they're the top 5 moments of my career, and something that some things there that'll I'll look back on once it's all done, and we'll have a bit of a laugh about.
Love it.
All right, let's go. What do we got? Fan questions to finish?
Some fan questions?
All right, let's go.
All right. Who do you think gets Para's number 6 jersey next season?
Ooh.
Dean Hawkins or Joash Papali'i?
Yeah, I think they probably go... I think they go with Joash Papali'i. I think just because of the X factor that Joash has, I think he's got a bit more flair with regards to his footwork, his step, and his passing. Like Dean Hawkins, I think he's really progressed this season. But I just think they go with Joash at the start.
Yep, love it. What happens in the sheds during a HIA procedure?
This is a great question. HIA, you come into the sheds. If you're Cat 2 or Cat 1, that kind of depends what happens. So if you're ruled out of the game, if you stumble, then you don't even do the test. But if you didn't do that, you come off, you do your tests. and you have to remember all these words. So like it could be like jacket, saddle, gold, diamond, fish, wagon. Then you say those words back. Then he says it to him again. Then you say them back again.
Far out. I don't think I could even remember
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
Right now.
It's hard enough when you're not
Shit.
concussed.
Yeah.
Then it's like, tell me the years, tell me the months of the year backwards. So you say the months of the years backwards. Where are we? What day is it? When did we play last week? What's the score? What's the date? What time is it? Answer all those questions. Now say these numbers back to me. 3, 7, 4, 2. Say them back to me.
Yeah, 3742.
No, backwards.
Or
Yeah.
see, far out. Am I concussed?
Yeah, and then I'll do it again with like four number combinations. Then it's like 6 numbers. So say these numbers back to me: 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 2. Say it backwards to me.
Yeah, I actually can't.
So then you say it back to me again. Then I do that again, and then at the end of then you do like all these like test things like this. Then you like walk in a straight line. You do like balance on one leg, eyes closed. Like swap it over, balance, eyes closed. And then at the end of all that, those 6 words I said to you at the start, those 10 words I said to you at the start, you have to say them words back to me.
Fucking hell.
So it's hard.
That's not easy.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
That is not easy at all. Okay.
You have to really concentrate. Like you have to really concentrate.
That's cool insight.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. Well, next up. Who did you play junior footy with and against that became an NRL veteran alongside of you?
So 2 guys I played with as juniors who were going to make the NRL, like Stuart Mills, played 19 games for Cronulla. Him and I played for Yarwara together. He was definitely the best player in our team growing up. He was in like the NRL squad at like 18 and made his debut in 2011 as well. And we got to play in the NRL together. He would later, he had a really bad run of injuries, some knee reconstructions and ankle reconstruction, which really hampered him. But him and I, like, he lived at 35 Whitley Road and I lived at 30 Whitley Road. And like the oval was like 40. So like we lived just down the road on the same road together. We trained everything together. We made all these teams together, played school footy together and worked all the way through to the NRL together. So that was a really proud moment for myself to play with him, to share the field with him and sort of, our journeys together to get to the NRL was great. Played against Tyrone Peachy. Tyrone, the Peach, played for Cronulla Kangbar, and then we would play together in the junior reps at Cronulla. Then we played 20s together. And then, excuse me, the year I left to go and play for the Warriors, he left and went and signed with the Panthers and then would go on to play his NRL career, played over 200 NRL games. And then I guess the last one I played with, or in 20s anyway, I played with Tyson Frizzell in the under 20s at Cronulla. He would make his debut at Cronulla and then he would go to St. George for a bit more of an opportunity. So, yeah, it was kind of like Peach, Frizz and myself. We all kind of left for more opportunity at other teams. But those were the 4 guys that, kind of coming up that I played with that would go on to make the NRL.
Love it.
And then I played with Michael Elisha. He played a couple of games of 20s with us as well. So,
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Last question. Why are you not having a players golf comp in Townsville this year?
Yeah, so we made the call to not do a 4-ball Ambrose tournament in Townsville this year. We moved it. We're going to have one in Sydney. Details to come, but we're going to do an individual Stableford comp through Golf Australia. So it's a proper tournament. We're finalising the details now, but stay tuned to our socials because information will come and it's going to be a cracker day. So tickets will be available through our website, playersgolfclub.com.au. But ultimately, it was more like geographic location and time of the year. But we're not ruling out having another tournament in Townsville. I think next year we're going to have multiple tournaments. That's the plan. But yeah, stay tuned for details for sure.
For sure. That's it.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, Victor. And thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate you guys for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you do subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop us a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys now that I've made this decision. And also, if you're listening on the audio platforms, please make sure you rate and review. It is greatly appreciated. I've loved your support, and I feel like you guys are probably going to see me on camera, hopefully a lot more, and hopefully more on the YouTube channel here as time progresses. But yeah, all love. Thank you very much. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.